Good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Tusiime Mwesigwa. I work with the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. I am a mentee at the African Center for Career Mentorship. I have learned a lot, and I am happy to share with you some of the things I've learned. Tonight I'll be sharing how to use the ACCM Scholarship Appraisal Index as a way of helping us to write our essays in the search for scholarships. If that's a brief introduction about me. So shall we start? As an example as a case example, I will be using the Chevening Scholarship to illustrate how to use the ACCM Scholarship Index. And I have just a few slides that will take us through this tonight's workshop. The appraisal index will help us to get insights of what to include in the essay and also to summarize key points that are worthy of talking about. It is important to know the key selling points in the essay we are working on. For example, as we're working on the scholarship for the Chevening, we shall be focusing on the 4 essays: the leadership essay, networking essay, career aspiration essay, and why we need to study in the UK. So we have a list of good number of scholars who have applied and were successful in their application. We are going to be looking at them. Let me take off my video. So I started by going through the questions that Chevening wants us to address, where they want us to write our essays. Usually,
when you hear people say Nigeria is the giant of Africa, they are not talking about the country. That one is long gone. It's long gone. They are talking about the Nigerians are the giant of Africa. Because Nigerians can survive anything, anywhere, anytime. Nigerians are strong, great people. That is why you see them making exploits everywhere. So if you are not from Nigeria, tag a Nigerian friend or
sorry about that. Yeah, the first essay question is usually Chevening is looking for individuals who will be future leaders or influence in their home countries. Explain how you meet these requirements using examples of your leadership and influencing skills to support your answer. Then the second question is about the building relationship skills. It goes that Chevening is looking for individuals with strong professional relationship building skills who will engage with the Chevening community and influence and lead others in their chosen profession. Please explain how you build and maintain relationships in a professional capacity, using clear examples of how you currently do this, and outline how you hope to use these skills in the future. Then the third essay will look at outline why you have selected your chosen 3 university courses and explain how this relates to your previous academic or professional experience and your plans for the future. And lastly, our 4th essay will be Chevening is looking for individuals who have a clear post-study career plan. Please outline your immediate plans upon returning home and your longer-term career goals. You may wish to consider how this relates to what UK is doing in your country.
It
is very important to have key.
Bali ndo kuattending a webinar eno naye ate
We should have key.
Ka internet pe kali naye budde just bwenjizeemoko okugiattendingako.
Mr. Richard, could you unmute yourself? Please mute yourself, Richard. So we are going to use the STAR approach method. Richard, please mute yourself. In the STAR approach method, each letter stands for a task that you're supposed to do: the situation, task, action, and results. That is the summary of the key things that we have to pay attention to. Yeah. So I'm going to share the way I lay out my index. Just a minute. Are we able to see this? Has the screen come on your end? Mr. Abel, do you have my screen? Abel, do you have my screen?
Yes, we have your screen. You can see it.
Okay. So I went ahead to choose a number of scholars from YouTube who are giving us insights of what they included in their essays. They went ahead to show us the things that they did that helped them to nail the essay, to bring the point home so that they could win the Chevening Scholarship. There are a couple of them. In the interest of time, we may not go through all of them, but there are those that are really very interesting that you can't miss out on. There is this lady here from Nigeria. Her name was rather complicated, but I hope we can all see. So the purpose of this scholarship index, it's the appraisal index. Just as we hear the word appraisal, we get a list of scholars and we appraise the things that they went through, what they talk about that they did. For example, this candidate number 1, in her leadership essay, she told us that she has educated 3 girls with skills on how to make liquid soap and better their life. They made money out of the liquid soap, and they earned some money to do their JAM exams. That was, so we can see how she employed the staff. First of all, there was a situation. She noticed that there are some young girls that didn't have money to do their JAM exams. Probably this could be their UNEB. So when she realized that there was that need, that was the situation. So she went ahead, she identified the task that she could do. She thought and said, what can I do to bring these people to be able to pay their school fees? Yes, she may not have had the money to pay them by herself, but she had the skill that she could teach them to make sure that they raise this money to sit for their exams. So she taught them that skill. That was the task. Then the approach also was to teach them how to make this liquid soap, which they sold, and they got money to sit for their exams. The reflection is that they earned the money to do their exams, and it is also a reflection can double as a result as well. Yeah. Then also she told us the second point, that she volunteered with an organization. That's where she learned vocational skills like baking, and later she started up her own institute where she taught over 500 women skills like baking. So still we go back to the task she had. She identified that so many women were unemployed. So she went on, the task she took on was to make sure she teaches them, but there was no way how she would teach them unless she also learned. So she empowered herself with the skill of baking. Then later she went and got these ladies and taught them the same skill. That was now the action which she did. She taught her, she went and learned, then she came back and taught them. And by doing that, the result was they got employed and they got money to better their life. Yeah. On that one, you can you remember the essay is limited to 500 words. So you can give as many examples as you can, as long as you're within the number of words, which are 500, and you are within the good explanation that brings out the STAR approach method. Then we move on to our second question, which is the networking essay, which was also the relationship building. This same candidate showed us that she was selected for the Changemakers Fellowship. She met someone that she connected with, and they planned a project. They visited a community and realized that women did not keep track of their financial management. They arranged an expert and taught women financial management skills together. Yeah. So in this, she realized there was a situation. Women were not being financially wise. They didn't have financial wisdom. And of course, if you're a poor spender, you don't have financial discipline. First of all, you don't get savings, then you don't develop, then you're always in lack. So when she identified that, she made sure that she got a person who was literate, financially literate person, got that person, gathered the women, taught them, and they were able to improve their financial management skills.
Maria?
So, yes, sir.
Yeah, maybe we may not want to go in details, but with that work you did, with that framework that you did, how
Yes,
were
sir.
you able to find these answers? I think what members are struggling with is now they have seen the tool, they have seen the index, they have seen how nice it is. Now, how were you able to come up with yours up to discuss this? How were you able to do it?
Okay, so can I share a little bit of mine? How after appraising the candidates, how I came up with mine?
Maybe those are your points. Our people here may write your points later on in their essays, but maybe those are your stories. I don't think they can rate with your story.
Mm.
Yeah, you know, our people are good at copying, but we want to hear your approach, your methodology. How were you able to find these people and the submissions they made?
Okay. So when you, after of course understanding the question, the essay questions, you will go to YouTube. Of course, you know what you're looking for based on the questions. You will go to YouTube. Unfortunately, I don't have a video, but when you go to YouTube and when you go to the search engine, you type in, say, maybe like Chevening scholars or Chevening essays, or they'll bring you those different options. Then you look through the candidates that are brought in the YouTube window, and you evaluate the one that appeals to you. Because under this index, what you have to do, you get a number of them, say like 10. At ACCM, we're encouraged to get like 10 scholars, so that you compare and see how they went about it and how they made their essays to come to life. Yeah, so you go to the YouTube search engine, you type in Chevening winners or Chevening scholars or Chevening essays. Yeah, and then you will have those options of the people that gave us the hints of how to write the essays. Yeah, so, but don't forget to use the STAR approach where you identify the situation, the task. Maybe just to take us back to the slide that had that particular, yeah, this one. You be sure to use the STAR approach method, where S stands for the situation, task, T stands for the task, A stands for action, and R, result or reflection. Where, as you listen to these scholars, how they give us the insights into their evening winning essays, you have to look out for these things. Then you relate them into your own experiences and how you are going to blend your personal experiences to bring out your story so that you win this scholarship. Yeah, so if there is any question or something that wasn't clear in the presentation, we are open to questions.
I had a question.
Yes, Sharon.
So when we are writing each of the when you're writing about each of the questions, when you're noting down all your answers, everything is supposed to follow the STAR approach. Or I remember in the webinar they had mentioned something about lessons. Is that necessary here?
Yes, the lessons fall under the R. The R can be the result and the reflection, because you bring out that as a result, I learned that this, and you relate it to your story based on what you have told us, what you have told us in your essay. That's where the lessons come in, which is under the reflections. For example, that one who taught the people how to bake. As a result, they were able to improve their livelihood. If you look at these questions, for example, in the one of relationship building, there's a part where it's saying that outline how you hope to use these skills in the future. That area there can bring out the reflection of how you're going to make this relationship to fit into your future, especially after this scholarship that you have got, which you're applying for. Does that answer you, Sharon?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, let me emphasize something there. When writing for these chevening essays, it's important to tell us the situation that was at hand, the tasks that you took on, the results that we saw after you had taken that action, and your reflections and all the lessons learned. That is very powerful as you close out that particular scenario or that particular because remember on each essay we need to get around 3 examples or scenarios, and once you have shared with us the situation which was at hand, the tasks that you took on, and remember the focus is on you, not as a group. The focus is on you. Once you clearly tell us what you did as an individual, and then you tell us the results which came after you had done whatever you did, then you reflect, or which lessons have you learned. But when you're narrating that, link it to chevening aspirations, to chevening core values, to chevening efforts it is currently undertaking. You need to remember to sell yourself. You need to remember to demonstrate why chevening should choose you and leave somebody from another country. I hope that makes sense. So it's important to bring out what was the situation at hand, what tasks did you do, what results came after you did whatever you did, and what are your personal reflections. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abel. Juliet, you want to ask a question?
No, Juliet has just come. Maybe Evelyn. Evelyn, do you want to ask any question? Maria, there's Dr. Dan.
Yes, Dr. Dan.
Thank you, Maria, for those beautiful insights. What I've noticed over time is that some of our people, and I'll be very specific here, some of our Ugandans, when it comes to the issue of looking for information, scholarship information on unusual platforms like YouTube, LinkedIn, X, TikTok, people seem not to be interested. Most are interested in being in the WhatsApp group and then wait for someone from somewhere, share a link, and then people jump into action. So I'd like to know from you, how did you feel when Abel advised you to go and start looking for these things from unusual places? And what advice would you give, or what lessons have you learned so far by looking for this scholarship information from such unusual places? And my last question would be, what was the most challenging part in getting this information? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dan. I must admit, you and Abel have done a tremendous job in teaching us to look for this information. Personally, I didn't know that you can find scholarships on YouTube, that you can find this information on LinkedIn, but being a mentee at ACCM has helped me a lot. Gone are the days when we used to use social media for only Lugambo, going there to check who has done what, who has done this. We have now found that social media can be used for so many things, networking, finding this kind of information, reading about so many things that can be very, very important in our life journey. Yeah, so what I felt when I was told to find this information from the different social media handles. By the way, mind you, we just chose a case study of the Achieving Scholarship, but this Scholarship Appraisal Index can be used for any scholarship that you want. You can use it for the equity and merit, you can use it for the SI, you can use it for any scholarship that you want. You just go look for the scholars from YouTube, from LinkedIn, from all the social media handles, and appraise what they talk about, the scholarship. Then you list them down and compare your story to theirs as a benchmark of helping you to write this essay. So as a lesson, I learned that there is a lot of information. There is also the Digest For Me app, which you can also get a lot of scholarships that we can use to get these scholarships to study anywhere you want in the world. Yeah, it was a bit challenging at first, but getting used to the fact that this is where people post, because this is where the big following is, it is now so nice that you just log into LinkedIn and you find so many scholarships there. So I encourage everyone on this call, and maybe our friends out there who will later watch this video, that scholarships are so many and there is a lot of information of how to get these scholarships. You can just spice it up with mentorship, where you get personal advice on how to write your essays, how to contact the referees. For example, recently we had a workshop about how to introduce yourself using the VIC technique. I tell you, when you go to some of our profiles on these social media handles, we have learned a lot of things, and I'm sure we shall make it to places and to universities that we used to just see on the news. We are soon going to be there, thanks to such workshops that have been arranged, thanks to the YouTube channels and to the people who relay this information and to us. Yeah, that's what I can say, Dr. Dan.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Maria, I want to ask a hard one. What advice would you give to people who have failed to get this information? Somebody says, for me, I've failed. I failed to use the ACCM index. I have just failed. I don't see people. I don't see people share. Actually, one of them began contacting Cheveners and asking them for their statements of purpose. That please, you give me yours. I want to see what you wrote here, because I'm supposed to get. I want to appraise myself on yours. And the people were just laughing at him, saying, "Man, are you okay?" What advice do you give such people who says, "For me, I have failed. People have refused to give me their statements of purpose"? Did you get any statement of purpose from people?
Thank you so much, Abel. sometimes it's about thinking some things are not meant for us, but the only thing I would encourage us to do is, I'm sure everyone uses social media, so it is just a switch. What have you been using the social media for? You just switch and use it for educational and things that benefit your career, your life, your health, instead of seeing those funny pictures. So I think they should go back and revisit recordings if they have failed. Now, like a recording like this, the screen I was sharing has some names, and sometimes when what you put in your search engine, they'll keep bringing you things related to that. So even if you put like once or twice, they'll start suggesting things that appeal to the search engine that you have put in. So such a person who feels that they are lazy to use these things, I would just encourage them to switch from what they have been viewing to be intentional in their searches. There are some handles where you can hardly, I think all handles bring all this information. It is just to be intentional about what you're looking for. The recorded information is there, the ACCM channel is there, the Dr. Dan has also a YouTube that you can subscribe to. There are so many mentees that have brought out some information about these scholarships. On LinkedIn, you can find all this information. We should just develop that interest, because when you want something, you have to make a step to get it, and you make an intentional step. Also to enroll for these trainings, like at ACCM, we have enrolled for mentorship, and we are tremendously benefiting from these trainings. We have weekly webinars, we have workshops, we have all sorts of training. The Chieftains also do webinars. It is a lot of information out there. The issue is to be interested and to get these workshops. Yes.
Maria, this was very helpful. Thank you so much for sharing with us how you did it. And we will continue coming to you for guidance on how you were searching in case of anything. And we want to stop here and wish you the very best in your application journey and the story that you're building. So thank you everyone, and bye-bye.